Good morning, good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, and how appropriate, we will begin with the singing of Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.
May the one whose spirit is with us in every righteous deed be with all who work for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, and who give bread to the hungry, who clothe the naked, and take the friendless into their homes. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring an abundant harvest. Yishtabach Shemcha Ad Malkeinu, you shall always be praised, great and holy God, our sovereign in heaven and on earth. Songs of praise and songs of adoration become you, acknowledging your might and your dominion. Yours are strength and sovereignty, sanctity, grandeur, and glory always. We offer our devotion, open our hearts in acclamation. Baruch atah Adonai, El melech gadol b'tishbachot, El hachodaot, Adon hanifaot, habaycher b'shirei zimra, melech achei ha'olamim. We continue with the Baruch Hu. Please rise.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavora, Baruch Adonai Hamavora, Le'olam va'ed.
Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due, now and forever. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, Yotzer or uvorech hoshech, Oseh shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha barachamim, U'tuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh breshit. Marabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam b'hokma asita, malach ha'aretz kinyonecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, va'al me'orei or she'asita yepa'aruch hasem, or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkechu lanu meherane oro, Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'orot. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai, our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion, on account of our forebears whose trust led you. Teach them the laws of life. Be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. Enlighten our eyes with your Torah, focus our minds on your mitzvot, unite our hearts in love and reverence for your name. Then we will never feel shame, never deserve rebuke, and never stumble. Having trusted in your great and awesome holiness, we shall celebrate your salvation with joy. Gather us in peace from the four corners of the earth, and lead us upright to our land. For you, O God, work wonders. You chose us. Truly, you drew us near to your great name, that we might acknowledge you, declaring you one in love. Praise be you, Adonai, who chooses your people Israel in love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha, v'hayu הדברים האלה, אשר נובעים מצורך היום על לבביך, ושנאתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
From Egypt you redeemed us, freeing us from bondage. For that your beloved sang praise, exalting you. Your dear ones offered hymns, songs, praise, blessing, and thanksgiving to you as sovereign, the living and enduring God, high and exalted, great and awesome. God ever humbles the proud, raises the lowly, frees the imprisoned, redeems the afflicted, helps the oppressed, answering our people when we cry out. Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. In great joy, Moses, Miriam, and Israel responded with song to you, all of them proclaiming,
מי כמוך פועל אדוני, מי כמוך נדב הקודש, נורת תהילות עושי פלא, נורת תהילות עושי פלא. שירה חדשה שבקעו כעולים, לשמך שפר הים. יחד כולם הודו וקמחו והללו. אדוני אלוהים, אדוני אלוהים, לעולם ועד. So Israel, אמר בעזרת ישראל, ותהי דמך אל דמי ישראל. גאלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, God Israel.
We rise for the tefillah.
Adonai, sefataytetachu v'yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Kanei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Gula L'Bnei Bneihem, L'Ma'an Shemo, V'Ahavah, Melech Ozer, ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רוב להושיע מוריד אתה. מחלקל חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומנו מלך מביט ומחיה ומצליח ישועה. בנאמנתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
We remain standing as we open the ark for the Kedusha.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, ומושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. לדור לדור נגיגון לך, ונצח ותחים קדושך נקדיש, ושמך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Close the ark and please be seated. Here. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat. Observing Shabbat throughout the ages is a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. We continue with Kachin.
Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, ritzenu chatenu, kachenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tein chelkeinu b'torotecha, sameinu mitovecha, v'samkeinu b'shuatecha, v'tahir lebeinu le'avdecha be'emet, ve'ankileinu Adonai Kodesh Hashabbat.
On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness, restrain our thirst for excess, and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw near in life, in peace, in joy. Baruch atah Adonai she'otcha levatcha b'yir'a na'avod. Grant us peace, your most precious gift of eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul. And may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise for you, Adonai, who blesses your people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevorech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. A few moments of silent private prayer. We continue with the Torah reading. Please rise as we open the ark.
Ein kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, mahutecha, mahut olamim, u'memshaltecha b'kol dor v'dor. Adonai
Please be seated. I am going to be reading from the 17th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy. But before I actually get to that section, I want to read something that's at the very beginning of our Torah reading, or at least share it with you. As you well know, so many of our people are devoted to the concept of social justice. In the 16th chapter, we read those words which are inscribed on so many walls and repeated over and over again. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. Justice, justice, you shall pursue. And we have taken those words and tried to apply them to any situation that will be open to hearing what we have to offer. And that is why we have been in the forefront of all movements of social justice. However, before we develop that idea, maybe we will later on in the discussion that I'm going to try to engage myself with, because we can't do this by Zoom, but maybe we will be able to discuss it furthermore in my Tuesday morning classes. Let me read you the little section that I am going to read from the scroll itself. This is the Parashat HaMelech, the section regarding the king. And for those of you who heard what I said last night, this is the only section in the 5 books of Moses that deals with an Israelite king. Sets up the rules. The king is under the law, under the Torah. This is a constitutional monarchy. The king can't do whatever he wants. If after you have entered the land that the Lord your God has assigned you, and taken possession of it and settled it, you decide, I will set a king over me, as do all the nations above me, you shall be free to set a king over yourself, one chosen by the Lord your God. Be sure to set as king over yourself one of your own people. You must not set a foreigner over you, one who is not your kinsman. Moreover, he shall not keep many horses or send people back to Egypt to add to his horses. Since the Lord has warned you, you must not go that way again. And he shall not have many wives, lest his heart go astray, nor shall he amass silver and gold to excess. When he is seated on his royal throne, he shall have a copy of this teaching, of this Torah, written for him on a scroll by the Levitical priests. Let it remain with him, and let him read in it all of his life, so that he may learn to revere the Lord his God, to observe faithfully every word of this Torah, as well as these laws. Thus, he will not act haughtily toward his fellows, or deviate from the instruction to the right or the left, to the end that he and his descendants may reign long in the midst of Israel. Baruch et Adonai Hamporach, Baruch Adonai Hamporach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai Hamporach le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Ki tavu el haaretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach, Yerashta v'yashavta ba v'amarta asima alai melech lekol hagoyim asher sedivutai. Som tasim alecha melech asher yivchar Adonai Elohecha boma v'kerev achecha. Tasim alecha melech lo tucha letet alecha ish nokri asher lo achecha hu. Rach lo yarbelo susim. V'lo yashiv et ha'am mitzrayma leman harbot sus. V'Adonai amar lachem lo tosifun lashuv b'derech hazeh ut. V'lo yarbeh lo nashim. V'lo yasur levavo v'chesef v'zahav lo yarbeh lo me'ot. והיה כשבתו על כיסא ממלכתו, וכתב לו את משנה התורה הזאת על ספר מלפני הכהנים הלוויים, והייתה עמו ויקרא בו כל ימי חייו, למען ילמד לרעה את אדוני אלוהיו, לשמור את כל דברי התורה הזאת, ואת החוקים האלה לעשותם, לבלתי רום לבבו מאחיו, ולבלתי צור מן המצווה ימין ושמאל, למען יאריך ימים על ממלכתו הוא ובניו בקרב ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה Adonai noten haTorah. At this point, we pause for a moment to pray for those members of our community, our family, and our friends who aren't doing very well at this time. Mishaberach avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham Yitzchak ve'Yaakov, Sarah Rachel ve'Leah, Hu Yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, heal those who are ill. We mention in particular Arlene Steer, Nancy Freund, Ruth Pogorski, Andrew Lerman, Eileen Egan, Joshua Haran, Katie Pastor, Trudy Caruso, Zachary Pastor, Douglas Baker, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, B. Einstein, Ralph Einstein. And those of you who have additional names, please mention them, say them out loud now. May the Holy One bring them refuah shlema, a complete and good healing. And let us all say amen as we sing together.
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishedero imotenu, mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And we also offer a prayer of thanksgiving on behalf of those who are feeling better, who are doing well, who got good reports, good test results, good reports from their doctors. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has bestowed every goodness upon us. May the one who has bestowed goodness upon us continue to bestow every goodness upon us forever. A prayer for the country. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another, to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. And let us all say, Amen. We are now going to prepare to return this Torah scroll to the ark. Please rise as we dress the Torah scroll. Take it. V'zot
Torah asher samoshe lifnei pnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe al shlosha devarim Lo yisagoy el goy lo yimildu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy lo yimildu od milchama.
We now prepare to return the Torah scroll to the ark.
Yadu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado. Ado al haaretz v'shamayim ve'arem keren le'amo tehila lecho chasidav libnei Yisrael am karov. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Et kaim lema'azikiva v'tomafeha me'usha derakeha derkeha v'chol netiroteha shalom hashivenu
Please be seated. Give me a moment to point out a couple of things in the reading and compare them to other texts and other situations and other periods in history. When the text says, "You shall be free to set a king over yourself," it doesn't say you are commanded to set a king over yourself. It is clear there is a kind of reluctance on God's part. All right, if you want to do it, fine. And we can connect this with the book of Samuel, where Samuel gives all the arguments against a monarchy. But if you're going to, make sure it's the right person. And the right person doesn't keep lots of horses. In other words, he's not concerned about his own material existence. But in addition to that, in addition to the material aspect that has to be resisted, it says that the king has to have a copy of the Torah written for him on a scroll by the Levitical priests. And he's supposed to read, that means study, it constantly. The king has to know the Torah. We are challenged by how to translate Torah. Modern translations use teaching with an uppercase T, teaching, revelation, and so forth. People have shied away from the word law because of certain connotations of law in Western civilization. But I like a translation, and here it's into Greek, nomos, in the Septuagint, law in the sense of constitution. The Torah and all its commentaries and all its explanations were viewed as the constitution of the people. And the king needs to be a constitutional scholar. The king needs to know what the Constitution says, and the king is not above the Constitution, and the king should not think he can suspend the Constitution. In these difficult times that we live in right now, I have often said we need to revamp our school curriculum. In Florida, in the middle schools, there is a required civics course. Maybe there should be more required civics courses. Maybe our people should know how government works, how it's supposed to work, and what really goes beyond the realm of the permitted. Our people, our Jewish people, have a history of rules and laws and requirements, or as I said last night, obligations. We can't do whatever we want. When people today scream about their freedom, yes, sometimes we want our freedom and we all fight for it. We don't want anyone to be oppressed. But there are times when we suspend our demand for freedom for the greater good. So, for example, I may suspend my right to dress however I want. I may accept, and I don't do it reluctantly, I do it openly, that I have to wear a mask. If by doing that, if by having to remember every time I leave the house, I am limited, I am restricted, it is for the greater good. I have always been impressed by this Torah reading. I could talk about other sections in it as well, but the idea that there is a constitution, a law, that takes precedence over the whim of the individual ruler, that the king must be knowledgeable, is something that has been very powerful in my mind for a very, very long time. Let us work together as a community, as a society, even as a world, to dedicate ourselves to those higher laws that make it possible for all of us to survive together in peace and in harmony. I invite you to continue this conversation with me. Sign up for, and you don't have to sign up, you just sign into our Tuesday morning class. And looking forward to the high holidays, we will have our Yom Kippur afternoon discussion done by Zoom, live from our house. So take a look at our website, take a look at our e-blasts, take a look at the new bulletin that'll be coming out soon, and join us for as many of our activities as you possibly can. We're not going to get this virus let it get in our way and continuing with our services and our programs. Page 282, we rise and open the ark for Elena.
Aleinu l'shabbat l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula l'yotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam filkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kachol hamonam, va'anakenu korim, ומשתחווים ובודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. Oshimo, 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 Echad.
Please be seated. We call to mind the recently departed. We remember those whose yahrzeits occur at this time. We think of all of those who have lost their lives because of this horrible pandemic. May the memories of those who are no longer with us stay alive in our hearts and our thoughts. and our deeds. The recently departed Virginia Horn, Doris Zucker, Dorothy Jacobson, Leon Cooper. Those whose yardsticks occur at this time: Herman Anstrike, Rose Barsman, Ernest D. Burnson, Elliot Cohen, Harry Colville, Rose Dubin, Andrew Eldridge, Ernest Ellison, Samuel Feidelman, Judith Goldie, Abraham Gould, Abraham Lease, Lucian Levy, Jay Lieberman, Larry Lieberman, Ida Medbean, Nathan Rosenthal, Celia Sherrill, Al Trope, and we mention everyone else that we can think of. We pause for a moment to think of their names. Please rise for the Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, v'al Madivrach Rutei v'al Mech Malchutei, v'chai Echon v'yom Echon v'chai Dekol Beit Yisrael, v'agalar v'zman kariv imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevarach, le'olam ura me'amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitkumam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shmei tekutcha brechu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata damiran ve'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the source of peace grant peace unto those who mourn, and comfort the bereaved among us, and let us all say, Amen. Please remain standing as we close with the singing of Maya Fehayim.
Maya Fehayim, Shabbat Shalom. Maya Fehayim, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yifunecha, Yisar Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Eternal One bless us by protecting us. May the light of the Eternal One shine upon us and be gracious to us. May we feel the presence of the Eternal One, and may be granted peace and good health and safety. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.